Living life, and I hope that you do the same. Cause if you ain't doing what you love, it's only you to blame. Come on, I've been through the game. By the time that they know my name, number down.
Welcome to the Business and Beers podcast show. Today I'm with one of Contiki Tour's best and brightest, sales manager and all-round good bloke, Ben Gorman. Thanks for coming on the show, Ben.
No worries, mate.
So you work for arguably one of the greatest companies in the travel industry. Tell us a bit about it, for those that maybe don't know a lot about Contiki, a bit about what you offer, and of course a bit about your role that you play.
Definitely. So I think what surprises most people with Contiki is how long we've been going for. So well over 55 years experience, started in 1962 with John Anderson back there, and we cater for everyone between 18 and 35. So regardless of what you want, what experience you want to have out there, between that age bracket, we are the experts and we'll have something for you out there as well. And how did I land this job? Well,
Absolutely.
Pretty lucky, mate. Yeah, pretty lucky. So I've pretty much been with Contiki for about 2.5 years now.
Okay.
Moved over to the UK, so started over there in good old London. I can say I've probably done about 10 Contiki so far in my time, so definitely the first of the job, I'd like to say.
And you're still alive?
Still alive, yeah, that's it, mate. I've gone from the high energy trips all the way through to the more chilled ones, so pretty much got everyone covered there. And my main role is pretty much to educate and make sure our travel agents out there know exactly what's going on. Contiki is pretty much the innovators, not the imitators, so we are constantly changing. So having to update our travel agents all the time is definitely something we need to keep on top of.
You sort of touched on it, mate, but it seems like a fantastic job from afar. It's a Wednesday afternoon, we're having beers, and this is work for you. So
Yeah.
for those that maybe are watching that have considered representing a company that does tours all around the world, where would they start, and is it worth it?
It's 100% worth it. For me, it is definitely a job that you get to connect with people, it's very social, but at the same time, it is a lot of hard work. A lot of people see us and think, yep, this is the regular having a beer on a Wednesday afternoon. But generally what we do is our job is not 9 to 5. So we could have in the morning, waking up at 6 in the morning to go to a travel expo or something like that, or we're doing training with our travel agents as well. It can go into the evening, we've got launch parties like European launch, so lots and lots of events in there. But the main job I think for us is to build the trust with the trade agents and to ensure that when there is an issue or they need training, we're always there for them.
We've been fantastic for me, mate.
Oh, mate, don't
hence
worry.
why on the show. The first inaugural guest on the show as well, I should point out, so I appreciate it, mate.
No worries at all.
So I want to know, if I'm a customer and I'm looking at planning my trip overseas to Europe or Asia or anywhere that Contiki now travel to, I'm looking at the brochure and I'm chatting with friends and I'm researching online, I'm talking to my agent and I'm not sure what to do. Why should I consider booking a Contiki tour for either my entire trip or even for a part of my holiday?
Well, at Contiki, we exist to connect young people to the time of their lives. So that really comes back to what we're really all about, which is from 18 to 35-year-olds going for 55 years, making sure that we know those little hideout spots, where to go if you want to meet the locals, so that inside of Contiki know-how knowledge. That is 100% the reason why Contiki strives above everyone else there. And with that, with our 8 different ways to travel, it means that every single person between that age demographic, there'll be something there for them. Whether they're party animals who want to go off and have that typical, stereotypical European summer, or whether they want to go and maybe spend 3 nights minimum every single location, there's something there for you to be able to jump on board with.
Absolutely, and you mentioned the different trip styles that you have. I know there's a new one for 2018.
There is brand new one.
That's now on the market, it's not a secret.
No, it's not a secret, it's all out there, mate. Don't worry, you're not letting the cat out of the bag there.
Excellent. So tell us a bit about that, and even just a quick highlight of some of the other different styles of travel that you can consider.
Definitely. So with the new independent insider travel style that we've got, this is really focusing on opening up the market for a new demographic for Contiki. So you may have people that want to be independent solo travelers, and then you've got people that want to do group touring. But there's that sort of in the between area there that in the market at the moment there's not too much out there for them to consider. So what we've tried to do is get the best of having that structured group touring that takes away the stress, but we've also ensured that does not take away from the freedom and the flexibility of it as well. So think of it like building blocks through Europe. You're in charge of being able to do as little or as much as you want and build as many city places and stops you want to go on at the same time. And having 3 nights every single location there means you do have the freedom and flexibility to go do exactly what you want to do, but you've still got the trip manager there, you've still got those inclusions, the breakfast study, all the good stuff that Contiki is all about, but it just gives that little bit of extra freedom to go and do what you really want to do.
Very nice. It looks fantastic. I remember the launch party in Sydney. Even though we did have a few beers that night, I do remember it. And the highlights were all the video that they shared. It looked amazing, so I'm sure you'll appeal to a lot more customers now. Really quick though, mate, I want to know, which one are you? Do you have a preference of how you like to travel with Contiki?
Well, look, let's start from the beginning. When I first, 21-year-old Ben, he was definitely a high energy traveller. So the 24-hour traveller, do it all in the day, do it at night, see absolutely everything. But then I turned to the age of 26 and started to get hangovers. So I'm sort of moving towards your more discoverer, which is still doing multiple destinations, but it doesn't have that included nightlife in there. So if I do want to go out, I can, but you don't have to if you don't want to. So ones that are a little bit more relaxed these days is definitely what I'm all about.
Very nice. So it's good to know there's different styles for the different types of people, and obviously as you evolve, there's more opportunities to explore but still stay with the Contiki brand, is that right?
100%. So we kind of look at, if you're 18 to 35, maybe at the start when you travel with us, you are that high energy traveller. But then when you go back to the next destination again, maybe still a little bit more in depth, you don't want to be going and doing the same thing again. So if you're going to Paris again, do you want to do the Eiffel Tower? Or would you prefer to go do something a little bit more unique this time? Maybe an arty or a fruity tour or something like that. So when you're looking at Contiki, these travel styles really kind of associate with what time in your life you're traveling.
Very nice. Do you have a favourite tour? Like through Europe, Latin America? Well, I should ask firstly, sorry, where do you travel to now? How many continents, how many countries? Testing your knowledge now.
Here we go, mate. So,
and do you have a personal favourite?
Well, we do have over 300 trips globally. We go to Europe, North America, Central and South America. We go to Asia as well, including India, and we also go to Australia and New Zealand. Now, my favourite trips, I've done trips in Costa Rica, I've been up to Canada, I've also been down to the top part of the USA, loads in Europe, having lived over there, Iceland, the Balkans region, Mediterranean. Kind of bragging now, I know, but
Yeah.
so I've done a little bit there.
Yeah.
But probably my favourite place to travel to is probably Iceland, I'd have to say.
Now, I want to know, I mentioned at the top that it's certainly one of the more well-known brands in travel, particularly in the youth space. I've experienced it myself. I sell it daily.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that for the most part, it's really, really well received with travellers. But there are those that maybe don't have that same thought process behind booking a Contiki tour. Maybe they've heard something or they've made their own judgments. Do you have any thoughts on those kinds of people, and is there anything you feel like you need to clarify to help set the record straight, I suppose?
Yeah, definitely, and this comes up all the time, whether it's travel agents or whether it's people that are just booking Contiki tour themselves. And I think the main thing to remember with Contiki is that we're constantly evolving. We're not going to stay stagnant. If the 18 to 35-year-old demographic changes, which it has done, we move with it. So if you go back 30 years ago or so when we were traveling to Europe predominantly, the traveller back then tended to go for 7 to 8 weeks or so. They wanted to do absolutely everything because it was so expensive to fly up to Europe. So you weren't going to go there next year or the year after, maybe you wouldn't go back for 30 years. So with that, the traveller, they really wanted to see absolutely everything, do everything, maybe let it a little bit loose, a little bit crazy as they say, and then come back, and that was their big European adventure. But it's 2017, and at the moment with our air deals that are like $350, $400 a return, which is insane, you can go over for a week or two. And you can go back next year, you can go at the end of the year, the start of the year. So that demographic for 18 to 35-year-olds, there's still a portion there. Like if you get 3 lads coming into your store and they want to go to Europe for the first time, high energy 100%.
Yes.
But then there's going to be travellers there that have maybe been there before, and maybe they want to see a little bit more of the people and the area they're going to. So we have travel styles for that too. So when you are looking at Contiki, it's more looking at what is your experience that you want to get out of it, what are those travel experiences and your travel personality to make sure that you can connect your trip to something where other people are like-minded as well.
What about value? So, value for money, I mean. So, we look through the brochure. Some of them stand out more than others as really great value. Some of them maybe not, at least to the untrained eye anyway, because I know there's a lot of inclusions with particular tours. But for someone, maybe it's their first big trip overseas, they're going for 2 or 3 months through Europe, for example. And every cent counts. You've travelled a lot. We can all relate to it.
I was a penny pinching Steve back in the day, so yeah.
Absolutely. 3 different credit cards,
Yeah.
personal loan from the bank,
Yeah,
another one from mum and dad.
Yeah.
So for those that are maybe in that position and planning a big trip and need to make every cent count, any thoughts on the value proposition, I suppose, with what you present?
This comes up every single time as well, and I think it's a good question because at the end of the day, you want to make sure the money you're putting into your trip, you are getting value for money and getting the best of what you're putting your money towards. So with Contiki, yes, you obviously get your accommodation, your transport, your breakfast day, and those inclusions in there, and this breaks down the cost for you. But the other things you've got to remember as well is the experience you're getting behind Contiki. Now, our trip managers are pretty much your mothers who don't judge you. They're there to enhance your experience. They're the experts. They're the ones that are getting you from A to B. They're the ones that are making sure when you get to your hotel, you just get given a key and you go upstairs. They're the ones that if you're going to PP Island and you're sick of having pad thai for 6 days straight for breakfast, instead of you spending an hour on PP Island trying to find that English breakfast for, you know, the best one on the island, they'll tell you in 20 seconds. So don't just look at Contiki as that money value of how much you're saving. Look at the expertise of Contiki too, because that definitely saves you time. At the end of the day, every time we go traveling, we never have enough. So if you can save an hour here or 2 hours there and have that experience behind you, it speaks wonders for the value of the product.
It definitely does, and just on the guides, like I said earlier, I've experienced the product myself, and the guides are fantastic. I've been in the industry for a few years now, and spoken with people from the company. My understanding is that there's some of the more highly trained in the industry, and full disclosure, I must point out, certainly when I started in the industry anyway, my perception of a Contiki tour guide was very appealing to me, and I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it straight away. I thought it was all about having a good time and maybe meeting some girls on the tour, and just basically living the dream. And of course, there's that fun stuff that's really appealing to most in the youth space. But they're some of the most highly trained in the industry. Am I right?
Mate, listen to this. So 67 days they're trained for. Generally not paid for that. They've got to get through it themselves. If you really want to be a Contiki trip manager, you'll fund yourself the way through there. 30,000 word essay. You start in January or so and you hand it in April once you've completed the training trip. We do things on these trips to make sure that every single situation that could come up, they're trained for. So for example, maybe they're going out for one night, one of our trainers will turn to someone that's training for Contiki and say, okay, I've broken my leg, what do you do? This Contiki trip manager and trainer needs to know where the hospital is, what the procedures are, what they need to do, and they need to snap into action straight away. What happens if the ferries between the UK and Europe are cancelled? Our trip managers have procedure, know exactly what to do. So instead of you standing there thinking, oh, my trip manager doesn't know what's happening, they've got some action plan already sorted and they're going to make their way up to another port to get up to Europe so you don't have any time wasted. So the training that we put them through for 67 days is the longest in the industry, which means they know absolutely every situation they would come upon, and they also know how to get the group together to mingle and to get to know each other. So that Contiki trip manager makes your tour. And I think it comes down to the trip manager, honestly. If you're looking at your travel, they can make or break. And that for me is the biggest, I guess, selling point when you want to go on a Contiki.
Well, I think I'm sold. And if anyone watching is anything like me when they travel, there's a high chance they may end up in hospital.
No, we've heard the stories.
So it's good to know that someone's there, obviously, to take care of it. Yeah. One more thing I just want to clarify, and again, for a lot it might appeal, but for some it's a deterrent, I suppose, is that there's a perception that, particularly European tours, potentially a lot of the panorama style trips, there's a perception that it's just a booze fest. Yeah. It's just a place to go there, single and shack up, and I'm sure that takes place as it would with a range of other companies and traveling independently. It's Europe, let's be honest. But what do you have to say for those that maybe can pigeonhole some of the potential great itineraries for their holiday into that kind of space?
Look, this is something as well, I think that stereotype coming back from those 30 years ago when that's predominantly the high-end trips we used to run. But when you're looking at Contiki, the only thing that's fixed are the destinations you're going to. All those other experiences that include in your itinerary there, they come back to that travel style. So if you're booking on that high-energy travel style, that 24-hour traveller, there will be some late-night inclusions in there for you as well. But if you're having a look at our other travel styles, like our in-depth explorer, where you've got local guides, trip managers, and culture inclusions there, the whole idea behind that itinerary there is that you are going there to see the people and spend more time in the region. So it comes back to trying not to pigeonhole Contiki into that one travel style. Have a look at every single one, all 8 that we've got, and figure out, is that the type I want to do? Is that the type of traveller I am? Because that means when you go on Contiki, you're going to be on a tour group with people who have booked that same trip for those same experiences.
And I agree. Well, let's be clear, it's still a lot of fun.
Oh, mate.
Right?
That's what I'm working for.
Well, that's it, right? That's why you're having a beer on a Wednesday. So let's certainly make sure we're not missing that. So with that fun comes story sometimes. I know you've experienced the product a lot yourself, you've worked in the company, you've been in the industry, you've travelled in general. Do you have maybe 1 or 2 stories that you can share on camera? I know you can tell me a few off camera, I could tell you some as well. But do you have a couple of stories, or even one that, for whatever reason, has caught your attention from a Contiki tour?
Yeah, definitely. So this is sort of, I guess it's not going to be one of those ones where it's like, party sort of story. It was actually kind of something that shocked me a little bit. So I was doing a familial tour with some of our travel agents from around the world, and we're going through Croatia, Serbia, Bosnia into Hungary. Now, not many people knew about what happened over there about 20, 25 years ago when Yugoslavia broke up. There was a bit of conflict in that region there. And when we're going through on this travel group, we finished, we'll start off in Dubrovnik, and I'm not sure you've been to Dubrovnik before.
I have been to Dubrovnik. I did Contiki, Croatia sail.
Oh, you did? Okay, mate. So you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Croatia
Dubrovnik is definitely sort of your, I guess, you've got that party scene there. It's quite a nice place to go to in summer. But after that, we'll make our way into Bosnia. And Bosnia was such a contrast to Dubrovnik, that city in Croatia, because we were driving past buildings that still had bullet holes in the side of them. They still had landmines all through Bosnia that were still cleaning up today. So there's a little town that we went to, and people had gone there for refuge, about 8,000 people, and they actually got murdered in this little town there. So we went there and we saw the memorial, and it was a bit of an eye-opener for our Contiki passengers. So for me, that was such a contrasting experience, because the people that were going on this trip went from Croatia, Dubrovnik, where the party scene was, going to somewhere in Bosnia where there's a lot of dark history behind it as well. And I think that showed me that with Contiki, you've got the contrast, you've got obviously the vibrant party side to it, but you're learning about what's happened in these areas that you've gone to.
Fantastic. I've heard similar stories. I'm glad you mentioned something like that. One question I do have for you: are there going to be people that maybe aren't quite like me, that are there for a different reason? Am I going to get along with everyone? How have you found that? Particularly with trip leading, I guess, how have you found the integration of the different types of people in one program for one itinerary?
So this has really come down to our educating and training of the travel agents to really understand what those travel styles are, so that when you are promoting one of these trips, you can explain, this is what this itinerary has been created for, this is what we've sort of seen what the passenger could look like and what they want out of that and the experiences. So when you are looking at Contiki, and this is why it's very important to make sure that you are having a look at those travel styles and really determining as to what you want out of your experience. If you're going on a high-energy trip and you've got all those late nights included and you don't want to go out, we don't chain you to a coach and we drag you along with us.
That's good to know.
The only thing that's fixed is the destinations you're going to. At the end of the day, everything else is up to you to create your own Contiki experience. Are you going to add those extra activities in there, or are you going to go off and do your own thing? Are you going to hang out with 5 people this day, or are you going to hang out with the entire group that night? So looking at Contiki, we're definitely there to make it a lot easier for you with those inclusions, the transport, the accommodation. And with those travel styles, it kind of helps you a little bit choose which type of person you are to go on what type of trip. But if you are on a high energy trip and you don't want to go out, we do not force you to go out. It's up to you. If you want to sleep that night, go ahead.
Good to know. Good to know. So I do want to talk about the Contiki song.
Yes,
okay.
Famous Contiki song.
Very famous. So when we travel, we often come back with, of course, great memories, but we usually associate whether it's a song or a moment or a memory, but usually a song. I know I've had that experience in all my travels, particularly Contiki tours. Tell us a bit about that, because sometimes it's almost the highlight of the trip.
Well, the idea behind it is that every single trip we do, we have a Contiki day song, and this is one of the most stressful things for our trip managers, to choose one song that the entire group will hear every single morning when they start off in the coach. And the idea behind this is that if you wake up in the morning, hear this song, it's all something that you can connect with, and when you go home, if you hear that song on the radio or you hear it in the club, bar or something like that, you're going to remember all those experiences you had, and they'll come flooding back to you while you're listening to this song. So it's a really cool way of our travellers being able to go home, but able to have this one song that can bring back all those memories and experiences they had. Really cool.
Who picks it? Who picks the song?
The trip manager. So this is why it's so stressful for them, because they've got to make, sometimes some people on there will think, oh, it's Justin Bieber, and like, oh no, wrong song. But it really comes down to what they do is they kind of have a look at the group, they kind of get the vibe with it, and they'll choose that day song, and then they'll put that on the first day going out there to, I guess that's it, set in stone. Then that's your song. You like it, you don't like it. That's what it's going to be.
So there's no alpha male on the tour saying this is what it's going to be.
No,
or a group
it's
of girls
definitely
saying
the
we
trip
want
manager.
Miley already.
Not at all. So the trip manager chooses it on day one. As soon as you're driving out of the first destination, it'll be played, and this will be the day song for the entire trip. So we try to choose something that maybe not popular yet, because by the time when they finish their trip and they go home, it's going to be played all through the radio, so they'll remember everything from there.
Perfect. Final question, mate. Yes. We've covered a lot. I really appreciate some of the content you've shared. Hopefully you've dispelled a lot of myths, helped people understand what Contiki has to offer so much there for all kinds of travelling experiences. Just want to move a little bit and tailor this one to the travel industry. We have a lot of friends, a lot of mutual friends in the industry, been a part of it for a while. I have for about 8 years now. I want to talk about Contiki Rock Around the World.
Big one, 20th anniversary.
Absolutely huge. So for those that for whatever reason, don't know about it, tell us what it is. And I know you can't reveal where 2018 is.
Yeah.
I'll try my luck after a couple more beers later.
It's
maybe.
in Twist Farm, mate.
Absolutely, that's the secret. So you can't reveal that, but tell us maybe one or two of the better ones in previous years and what Contiki Rock is and how we can get the ticket there.
So Contiki Rock is probably one of the biggest incentives for the travel industry out there. It's about taking our top sellers and people that are really loyal to Contiki to an awesome music festival somewhere in the world. So we've done Coachella before, we've done Fuji Rock in Japan, Primavera, we've done Osheaga in Montreal, Lollapalooza as well. So lots and lots of different music festivals we've gone to. And the whole idea behind it is really celebrating our Contiki lovers and our top selling agents, taking them there and just give them a good time. We're not going to make you do any hotel inspections or anything like that. It's purely about just having that awesome experience with
That's good to know
because I've been on a couple of familiars and they're great, but I'm bloody sick of hotel inspections. Let me enjoy the fruits of my labour.
Exactly, and that's what it's all about. It's about the top sellers. And I was lucky enough to do one in 2015, which is when we went to Osheaga Music Festival in Montreal.
Yeah.
We did like helicopter rides over Niagara Falls, jet boat riding when we went to Montreal. We went to a beer tasting in Toronto, a baseball game there as well. And we obviously had that Osheaga Music Festival for 3 days. And after that entire trip, I've still got mates that I've got coming over here actually next year to come and stay with me. So a really good way to meet other travel industry people from around the world and just have a brilliant time, really. Get amongst it.
So long and short, it is travel agents sell Contiki,
Get
right?
amongst the guys, sell Contiki, love Contiki, and you'll 100% be going on and rock around the world.
And for everyone else, book with your favourite agent and get them to seat there and they'll take photos for you, right?
That's it. Help them out.
Well, mate, I really appreciate you coming on. I touched on it throughout, but you are the inaugural guest on the Business and Beers podcast show.
Yeah.
I hope you've enjoyed yourself. I know
It's
I've
been
learned a lot.
brilliant. Cheers to that.
I've learned a lot more and I appreciate it, mate.
No worries at all.